I never thought moving into a new city would be so isolating. Work had dragged me into a strange town I didn't know, and finding an apartment on short notice left me with very few options. The complex I ended up renting from was old, the kind with faded paint, creaking hallways, and a smell that clung to the walls like permanent mildew. But it was cheap, and that's all I cared about. The first week passed without incident. I unpacked, got settled, and tried to focus on my new job, but there was always a nagging feeling that I wasn't alone. It started subtly. The faint sound of a TV flickering from the apartment across the hall when no one was home, a door closing softly in the middle of the night. I brushed it off as old plumbing or neighbors moving around, but my gut told me it was something else. Something watching. One night I woke to a scratching noise outside my door, slow, deliberate, like fingernails dragging across wood. I froze under my blanket, heart pounding. The scratching stopped. I peeked through the peephole. Nothing. I told myself it was a dream, but over the next few days it became impossible to ignore. Shadows lingered in the hallway even when the lights were on. I heard whispers, soft, incoherent, almost like someone mumbling to themselves. But when I opened my door, the hall was empty. It wasn't until the third week that things escalated. I came home one evening to find the door of the apartment across the hall slightly ajar. I didn't know anyone lived there. The building's manager had told me it had been vacant for months, and yet the door moved as if it had been opened recently. Curiosity or stupidity made me peer inside. The apartment was dark, empty except for the furniture. Everything was arranged oddly, all facing toward the center of the room. There was no one there, but I felt a presence. That night I couldn't sleep. Every creak, every thump, every whisper made my heart hammer. Around midnight I heard it, the faint sound of someone walking across the apartment across the hall. Footsteps, slow, deliberate, packing back and forth. I pressed my ear against the wall. Nothing I could see, but the sound, it was real. Over the following days, the activity increased. Lights in my apartment flickered when the apartment across the hall was dark. Sometimes I would see movement, just a shadow, a glimpse of something human-shaped behind the curtains. I knew the apartment was empty. I had verified it with the building manager. But what I saw wasn't human. Then came the notes. Small scraps of paper slipped under my door, written in a shaky, uneven hand. I see you. Come out and play. Don't ignore me. I tried to throw them away, thinking it was a prank, but the next morning more notes appeared, each one more threatening than the last, and sometimes they weren't on paper. They were scratched into the walls of my apartment, words like fingernails dragging across plaster. You're mine. I stopped going to work. I stopped answering calls. I stayed inside, lights on, doors locked. But it didn't matter. The presence was everywhere. It watched, it whispered, it waited. One night I had enough. I decided to confront it. I grabbed a flashlight and went across the hall. The apartment was empty, just as it had always been. But as soon as I stepped inside, the door slammed behind me. I spun around. Nothing. The flashlight flickered. That's when I saw it, a figure crouched in the corner. Too thin, too tall, with limbs that didn't bend right. Its face, I couldn't see it. Just a black void staring at me. I screamed. The figure didn't move. It didn't need to. Its presence filled the room. It whispered my name in a voice that was mine but not mine. Alex, don't leave. I bolted. The door wouldn't open. It didn't matter how hard I tried. The figure glided toward me, silent, deliberate, its grin stretching impossibly wide. I finally ripped the door open, stumbling into the hallway, heart pounding, chest burning. I ran back to my apartment, locked the door, and didn't sleep that night. But when morning came, the notes were there again, even inside my locked apartment. I realized something terrifying. It didn't live in the apartment across the hall. That was a lure. It followed me. It could be anywhere. And now it wanted me to know that I wasn't safe anywhere. I couldn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that face, the twisted reflection of me across the hall, grinning in ways no human should. The shadows in my apartment felt heavier, as if they were watching, waiting. I kept the lights on and tried to focus on anything normal, but nothing felt normal anymore. Around midnight, I heard it, a faint scratching coming from the wall beside my bed, slow, deliberate, fingernails dragging across the plaster. My breath caught in my throat. I tried to convince myself it was the building settling, but deep down I knew better. Then came the whispers. At first they were soft, almost playful. My name over and over, low and deliberate. Alex, Alex. I froze. The whispers weren't coming from outside. They weren't coming from the walls. They were inside my head. Every time I thought of ignoring them, they got louder, closer, insistent. I grabbed my flashlight and went into the hallway. The apartment across the hall was supposed to be empty. I had checked it earlier that week, but the door, it was ajar now. Slowly, impossibly, as if inviting me in. My pulse pounded. I didn't want to go inside, but something told me I had to. I stepped across the threshold. The apartment was silent, empty, dusty furniture covered in white sheets. Nothing moved, nothing except the shadows. They shifted, crawled along the walls, pooling in corners, and then I saw it. A figure crouched in the far corner, too thin, too tall, limbs twisted like broken sticks. Its face was a black void, but that grin, stretched impossibly wide, made my stomach turn. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run, but my legs froze, my chest tightened, breath stolen by fear. The figure tilted its head, studying me. "Come closer," it whispered, not from its mouth, from my mind. I stumbled back, almost falling. My flashlight shook in my hands, throwing wild, flickering shadows across the walls. The thing didn't move. It didn't need to. Its presence filled the entire room. Suddenly, the lights in the apartment flickered and died. Pitch black. I was breathing hard, counting each second, when I felt it. The air thickened, pressing down on me like water. Then the whispering multiplied. Hundreds of voices, all my voice, all chanting, echoing, mocking me. "You're mine, you're mine, you're mine." I ran. The hallway felt longer than it should. The front door of the apartment slammed shut behind me on its own. I ripped at the handle, locked. Nothing. I pounded, screamed, cried for help, but the building was silent. I backed into my own apartment, shaking uncontrollably. I locked the door, windows, everything. Tried to tell myself it was over, but deep down I knew it was. The next morning I found a note slipped under my door. Simple, clear, written in a shaky hand. "You can't hide, we're already inside." I didn't leave the apartment for days. I stopped answering calls. I didn't open my email. The shadows followed me everywhere. Every time I moved, I felt their eyes, watching, waiting, grinning. I realized something horrifying. The apartment across the hall was never the danger. The danger was me, or at least the thing that looked like me. It wasn't bound by walls. It wasn't bound by space. It could be anywhere. And I knew one day it would step out of the shadows. I don't remember how many nights I stayed awake after that note appeared. Time didn't matter anymore. Minutes and hours blended together into a constant, suffocating dread. Every shadow, every flicker of light felt like it could conceal it. The apartment across the hall didn't stay empty. I would wake in the middle of the night to the faint glow of a TV screen flickering behind its curtains, though I knew there was no electricity on in that apartment. Sometimes I would hear soft laughter, the kind that doesn't belong to a human. High-pitched, distorted, echoing down the hall. I tried to leave. I packed a bag, told myself I'd stay at a motel until I could figure out what was happening. But every time I stepped into the hallway, it was different. Longer, narrower, the shadows stretching farther than they should. I could feel it waiting for me just beyond sight. I turned back, heart hammering, and my apartment door slammed shut on its own, shaking the walls. I barricaded myself inside. I stayed up all night with the lights on, packing the apartment, clutching anything I could find as a weapon. But it didn't matter what I had. It could slip through walls. It could be in the shadows. It could already be inside me. And then it spoke. Not through the walls, not through the door, but inside my head. My own voice, except wrong, crooked, twisted, layered with 1,000 whispers. "You're ours now." I dropped to the floor, shaking, covering my ears, but the voice only grew louder. And then I heard footsteps in my apartment. Not crawling, not gliding, walking. Heavy, deliberate, packing back and forth. I forced myself to look. Standing in the middle of my living room was me. My face, my body, my clothes, but wrong, everything about it was wrong. The skin was pale, almost gray, veins blackened. Its smile stretched from ear to ear. Its eyes, my eyes, but hollow, empty, dead. I screamed. My voice caught in my throat. It tilted its head like it was studying me. Then it spoke. "It's easier if you just accept it." I ran to the bedroom. Slamming the door behind me, I shoved the dresser in front of it. I tried to think, to reason. This wasn't real. It couldn't be real. But I could still hear it packing in the living room, waiting, listening, breathing. Then I noticed the walls. They were bleeding, dark streaks like tar slowly seeping out of the plaster. The smell of burnt hair and something rotting filled the room. The lights flickered violently. The whispering intensified. My name over and over, faster, sharper, demanding. "Alex, come out, come out, come out." I backed into the corner of the room, trying to make myself small. That's when I saw it. The walls themselves moved. Shadows sliding along the plaster like fingers reaching for me. I screamed and pressed my hands over my face, rocking back and forth. Then the bedroom door shook violently. Something was trying to break it down. I could hear the splintering wood. My dresser wouldn't hold it. I grabbed my phone for the first time in days and turned on the flashlight. The beam caught it, standing just outside the door. Not one, but two of them, twins of me, both grinning, both watching, both waiting. "You can't hide," they whispered in unison. My vision blurred. My legs gave out. I fell backward. The flashlight clattered to the floor and went out. Darkness swallowed the room. I could feel them, hands brushing my legs, faces hovering over me. Their whispers inside my head, chanting, promising. "Soon you'll be just like us, forever." I blacked out. When I woke, I was lying in the middle of the living room. Sunlight streamed through the windows, normal, silent, empty. No signs of them, no blood, no shadows, no tar on the walls. But my phone buzzed, a single message from an unknown number. "Next time, we won't wait until night." I knew it wasn't over. I realized something horrifying. It doesn't need the apartment across the hall anymore. It can follow me anywhere. It can wait in shadows, in reflections, in my mind. And one day I won't wake up alone. The first time I saw it, I thought it was a prank. The second time, I thought I was dreaming. Now I know the truth. Whatever is coming for me doesn't care about reality. It doesn't care about doors, locks, or walls. It just waits. And I know it will never stop.